Hi, everybody. We're back with another one of our candidate interviews, and this time we have our candidate for the District 2 Commissioner's seat in Granite County. He's been a longtime employee of the county, Mr. John Kendall. John, thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
So, speaking of long-term, we were just talking beforehand. You've been here for, what is it again? 20 in the waste management.
I've been 28 years in the waste management in the container sites.
Man, and that's crazy. That's a long time, man. That's seen a lot of commissioners come and go.
Yes, there's been a lot of them come and go.
So, in looking at that, what made you want to run for this position?
Well, I've been here all my life. I was born in Drummond. Basically lived here all my life except when I went to school and for 4 years when we went to Stevensville. And I have got into serving the people of Granite County, whether it was on the ambulance or this container site, and I just feel that I want to help give back to the county now that I'm getting up there in age a little bit, and I want to try to make the county what I grew up in. We're a thriving community. The whole county was thriving, and I'd like to try to help get it back to that.
So, in trying to get that thriving community back then, what are some ways that you can see the commission acting to do that? How can they help that?
We need to maybe get out there, and Phillipsburg's doing a great job advertising their community and reviving it. We need, instead of doing one end of the county, we need to do the whole county and bring the whole county back up and try to tie things in that help both ends of the county, whether it's tourism or some kind of industry that we may be able to bring here in Granite County. Now,
I don't mean to cut you off, but 2 years ago, when Blanche McClure ran and won, and I have to apologize because I don't remember her chief opponent's name, but he was constantly talking about, well, we're going to bring jobs in, we're going to bring people in. But every time we pressed him on how that was going to happen, there was no plan. So, I mean, is it a matter of messing with the mills or taxes or benefit, or how do you attract a business to say, hey, Granite County is where I want to set up shop?
I think instead of messing with the mills or anything, his big thing, he kept saying, I know investors and I know investors.
Yeah.
If I knew an investor, I would be throwing their name out and saying, hey, come here and let's talk about this. Let's work on it. Not, he kept trying to, it almost was like he was hiding his investors.
Right.
I don't want to take a lot of taxpayer money and make them big tax breaks and everything else that's going to hurt the rest of the community. I want him to come into our county and see it for what the people that live here see it. Everything that's available for them to come in and grow their business here, whether it's for recreational for their employees or whatever, but I don't think it should be on the back of the taxpayers. I think if they want to invest in our county, that's fine, let's work with you, but let's not sell the county to them. And I really can't give you ideas on how exactly that should work. But a prime example is Phillipsburg. You look at what they've did to bring their community back. It takes a community to drive it. And it's going to take the county to encourage people to come in, show them what we have here, and let them do it.
Is drawing on the expertise, and I'm going to drop a couple of names just because I know they were kind of chief in that Phillipsburg renovation and renaissance. There were people like Shirley Beck and Jim Jenner, who I know were kind of key instruments to saying, hey, we're going to put some paint on these buildings, and we're all going to look nice, and we're all going to try and foster this together. Is that something that you can look at doing, or how do you, because Dee always talks about, man, I remember when we used to have these parades, and I remember it used to be like this. How do you wake that back up?
First of all, you start small. You go in and paint the buildings, clean the town up, and then, start having the thing. We had the tractor show, mule days. We've had a few car shows in, and this summer we're going to have another car show here during the rodeo weekend. You just got to get Granite County out there to say, hey, this is a great place to come and do this. And if you're looking at, car shows, stuff like that, make it attractive for them to come here and spend a day in our community doing all this kind of stuff.
I got to say, I think a really good example of that is what Carrie Verlanik did when the pandemic hit with that Highway 1 yard sale thing. That is absolute brilliance. I think that is something that Carrie hit out of the park, man. That was a great idea.
It is. And, but instead of just one day, maybe have it 2 or 3 times a year. I don't know how much stuff we could sell.
How much junk we got?
Yeah. I was trying to put it nicer.
If anybody knows, you would know how much junk we have, John, working at the waste facility.
Well, yeah, and, a flea market. The farmer's market over at the city park. It all brings in a few people, and a few people lead to more people. The more you get it out, it's like a motel which we don't have now, but a motel in the Drummond area. The motel owner does a good job of keeping his place clean, looking nice, and starts getting out there, pretty soon people start doing word of mouth. When I used to work for the town of Drummond, and we started with the town park over there. We built the baseball diamond over there, put the parks at the east and west end of town, and pretty soon it was like I was bringing in $5,000 a month, and people would come in, going and coming places. They made a destination was to stay at our town park. Some of them would pull in and stay a week with us. They liked the peace and tranquility of the place. So we kept everything clean and looking nice for them, and they just kept coming back. And I think if we start a little bit, if we have a car show, and say we have 20 cars this time, maybe next year we might have 40 cars. And, if people get thinking that, hey, this is a cool place to have a car show, let's bring our cars here and show.
Certainly, Flint Creek Valley Days did not grow to 140 cars or something overnight.
No.
So,
and that's a really nice car show. I've been in it a couple of times myself with my cars, and
there's some crazy cars in there too. There's some great stuff in there.
There's some really nice stuff up there. Yes.
So now let's, we talked a little bit about this. The seat you're running for, and that commissioner, your opponent, has had some issues in the last term, the last 6 years. And they were things that ended up in the courts. How do you help the commissioners prevent that? I mean, clearly from a personal standpoint, you cannot engage in activities that would maybe be considered unethical or illegal. But if you've got a fellow commissioner, how do you see that person holding them accountable? How do you see you and one of the other commissioners holding them accountable or doing something? Because the public seemed frustrated when that all happened, that they didn't know how to act, and there doesn't seem to be a level of accountability above the commissioners like there are in some other offices around the state, state elected offices. Right. So how do you hold that accountable? How do you, or what are some ideas you have about trying to prevent that kind of thing from continuing?
Well, I think that we need to hold everybody to be accountable for their actions. If I was in the commissioner's seat and I'm doing something wrong, I hope like heck the two commissioners will come to me and say, hey, you can't do that, straighten up or else. And if I continue doing it, they'd send me down the road. I'm going to make mistakes. I mean, I'm going to be new at the job. But I hope that I would be held accountable for any mistakes I might make. If it's really bad, then kick me down the road. And if they do something wrong, I'm going to hold them to the same standard that I will hold myself to. And if I think if they're really out of line, I'm going to call them on it. And I may get outvoted, but my vote's going to show that they're going to be called on it.
In going back to your longevity in the county and in this area, you must have developed a pretty good network of people that know how to do a lot of stuff. I mean, how much of an asset do you see that playing in the county? As far as being able to get some things done with people in the county?
Well, I've worked with DES and the EPA and almost every state agency in the state at one time or another. And I find out that it's easier to sit down, talk with everybody, and, a lot of times they will work with you. You can't go in and try to cause everybody to get, I guess the easiest thing to say, you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Sure.
You work with them. A lot of times you can work through things and say, hey, this is a problem. One example, DEQ came up with, we had to put a container 41 inches high across all our dumpsters. So everybody had to come into our site, pick their garbage up out of their pickups and throw over that.
Yikes.
Well, we were running into a problem with the elderly people getting in their back of their pickups and putting their foot on this 41-inch high and throwing themselves off balance. Nobody went into the dumpster.
I wouldn't want to do that.
But and I went back to him. I said, this is creating more of a hazard than you're fixing for us. And we were allowed to take it out and put down our 8 to 10-inch high things for them to back up against, and we haven't had a problem with it. But if I'd have went in there and started screaming and hollering and stuff, I don't think they'd have gave up. I think we would have still been stuck with the 41 inches. And
sure.
In our community, it didn't work. So they understood it. They allowed us to take them out, and we're going fine up there. So
Certainly discretion, the better part of valor in a situation like
Right.
that. So.
And, on the other hand, if you're doing something really wrong, saying, gee, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that, we'll change it, goes a long ways too.
Yeah.
You got to give and take, and you got to know when it's time to back off and listen to them and do them.
Do you have any plans to help with communication between your constituency in this part of the area and the commission? I mean, I know, there used to be a couple of the guys who would gather down at the wagon wheel and have breakfast. The problem was there were two commissioners there, which was not really kosher because there were too many commissioners. There was a quorum there, so.
Right. And, I mean, I'm not going to do my business in a restaurant or in a bar or any commissioner business. If a constituent comes to me and says, I got this problem, can you help me? I will take it to the commissioners, and as all three of us there in the courtroom, we'll discuss it and see what we can come up with. I don't want to sit in a restaurant and have to make decisions that should be decided by all three of us.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So is there a way, I mean, like, I don't think you have a website as a candidate or even a Facebook page, right?
Nope.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you prior to the election to ask you some questions and maybe, give you a chance to win their vote, how would they do that? Where are you going to try and go out, or what's the plan there?
I plan on starting, I've been going out for the last couple of days visiting with people and talking with people. I can go to continue to do that probably most weekends up until the election. Or they can call me at home, and my number's in the phone book. I mean, I can give it to you now.
If you don't mind, just so people have a way to contact you if they have a question,
Okay, my home phone is 406-288-3555. I'm usually there in the evenings after 6 o'clock when I get out of the container site. And, they can call and leave a message. I'll return their calls to them. Or if I'm home, I'll answer and talk to them. That's, like I said, I'm trying to get out and get my name and stuff throughout the county, but there's a lot of you guys out there.
That's right. About 3,200 people and what, about 2,200 voters or something like that, 2,300 voters?
They told me that there was 1,500 in the county.
That are just registered?
That are just registered.
Wow, I thought there would have been more than that. There's a lot of kids out there.
Well, that's not counting the ones that may register now until the 7th, the 13th, I think it is. Anyway, and then late registration starts.
Sure.
And then day of election registration starts, so.
And too, you were telling me beforehand, I found this just fascinating, and I know Sarah had said this too, I think, during the meet and greet, that more than half of the county are going to be voting absentee.
Permanent absentee.
Permanent absentee. So, I mean, and I have to tell you, the last few elections, I've seen people in the Drummond post office pull out their ballot, rip it open, pull a pen out of their pocket, mark it, put it back in the envelope, and they're done.
Yep.
So, I mean, they've kind of made their decision, so.
Yeah, and the absentee ballots are going out. They went out the other day.
I thought they went out May 13th.
Mm-mm.
Oh, they went out already. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Sarah told me that she mailed them out the other day.
Wow. So hopefully people will get to see this soon. We'll get this up on our website and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So, John, anything in closing you want to let people know as you head toward this June 7th showdown with the incumbent?
Yeah, I'm not going to make a lot of promises. I will promise you that if you have a problem, come to me and talk to me. I will take it to the commissioners for you. I will not make a decision right then, but I will get it to the commissioners and see what we can do. I will encourage everybody to come to the commissioners and talk to us. It's, you know, we work for you, you don't work for us. So, you know, I'll make myself available whenever you need me, and whether it's go look at a road or whatever, you want to just talk to me because of something that's going on, I'll be there to listen to you, and I'll take it to the commissions for you.
Fair enough. All right. So John Kendall running for the District 2 seat on the Granite County Commissioners. The ballots are out if you're an absentee ballot voter, but remember on June 7th, you're going to have a chance to have your voice heard if you want to do that. So we encourage you to do that. Again, John, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me, Tim.
All right. For the Flint Courier, this has been Tim Allen.